The F2 used to be the kings of freestyle football, but all it took was one selfish ego to tear their YouTube kingdom into pieces. These guys used to rule the streets. I'm talking skills so fly, I break my ankles just to try them with my guys. It was all going great until one day, one of them made a mistake and destroyed everything. Billy Wingrove and Jeremy Lynch are the two dudes who make up the F2. Their iconic skills, dribbles, insane controls, yep, it's all of them. But you see, guys, it didn't just start like that. They didn't just wake up one day and decide, we're gonna become famous. Nah, they each had different paths on their collision course with destiny. Billy grew up in a family of footballers. Get this, so did his dad Alan. He played in the academy at Spurs, and his cousin Greg, even though he didn't make it as a full pro, he played for Arsenal's youth system. Damn, imagine being the Wingroves on Derby Day. Yikes. See, Billy had all these guys around him, and he was kind of hoping someday he'd go pro too. Until the day he got the news that ended his dream. He was 11 when tragedy struck. The guy at Spurs Academy called him into the office, and that's when they dropped the news. We're sorry, Billy, but we're gonna have to release you. You're too small. Billy could have given up, so he took the next step in his career to go play at the youth level for a local club called Enfield Town. And from there, I had a stint at being semi-pro for Ware FC. But this wasn't enough for Billy. He knew that he had to do something else to sustain himself, or else it was going to be all over for him. So he came up with a brilliant idea that was going to change his life. See, Billy had been doing freestyle for years to back himself up. But when he teamed with a certain guy, the rejected kid at Spurs became a king in London. Unlike Billy, Jeremy didn't grow up in a family full of pro footballers. He loved football as a kid. I mean, who didn't anyways? He loved football, and one day, all it took was one clip for him to make the biggest decision of his young life. Jeremy was only 13 when he saw this clip, and that's when he knew he just wanted to do one thing, and one thing only, become a pro footballer. It's crazy the world of footballers live in, and Jeremy, he was about to whip up one hell of a storm. See, guys, when he was 15, he claimed to have joined Arsenal's academy. Now, he could have just ended it here, and maybe I'd have believed it, but the stuff he said took gassing up to a whole new level. This dude legit said he was good, and the staff at Arsenal told him, on the ball, you're the best player at the club, but off the ball, you're the worst. Not really, because they said, on the ball, you're the best at the whole club, including the first team. I was only 15 at the time, but they said off the ball, he's one of the worst at the club, which was true, and that's why he got released. Hold up, I know Jeremy's got insane tracksters, but dude, when he was 15, that was in the 2003 to 2004 season. Now, just to break it down a bit, Arsenal in 03 and 04 won the league. They didn't just win the league, they were invincible. Heck, they didn't lose a single game. But with guys like Robert Perez, Patrick Vieira, and Thierry Henry, whoa. Now, Jeremy, I'm a fan, but you're telling me that the coaches at the club thought you were better than these guys? Nah, bro, I ain't buying that, and neither was this next guy who's about to bust him straight out of captain. See, guys, Fabrice was also at the Arsenal Academy at the time Jeremy claims he was in. And when Fabrice heard what Jeremy said, he just couldn't keep it in any longer, and that's when he came out to tell the whole world the shocking truth about me. He went in there, no, and I know every single body in that yet above me. Damn, Fabrice was cold. He even brought the Arsenal Academy picture. Jeremy got busted straight up. The dude was probably ashamed and decided to lay low for a bit. But in his final year at uni, he decided he was going to contest in Britain's Got Talent. And it was a really big show at the time, and this decision was huge because the results gave him everything he was looking for. The show's scripted, yeah, but Jeremy still managed to get himself in the semifinals. He became popular and started his freestyle content. But you see, he knew, just like Billy, that if he wanted to stand up from the other guys and become a success, he couldn't do it on his own. He and Billy were kind of already close mates anyways, so one day, probably after a game or a cup of coffee, they had a serious discussion, and that's when it all started. Because in January 2011, the F2 was bored, and with it came everything they ever could have wished for. They had everything, man. The fame, the money, the fans. Heck, they were so popular, they even performed at Ballon d'Or ceremony. Imagine freestyling in front of Ronaldo and Messi. That's insane, that's the dream. After they became a big hit, 3 months after the creation of F2, it was Billy's idea to create a YouTube channel for the F2, and that's when their careers took off. Releasing their DVD called How to Freestyle Volume 1. It was blowing up everywhere. They were selling out copies faster than tickets to Drake at the Super Bowl. They went onto YouTube and became internet sensations. Messi, Ronaldo, De Bruyne, Suarez, Neymar, Dude, every legit superstar you can think of, they partnered with them. Brands like Adidas, Nike, and Puma, they had deals with them. The F2 were all over the place, they were gonna reach the top, until the crack started to show. And one day, the whole world got to see that F2 project had fallen so hard. The grade was F9. Things were looking great from the outside, they had all the money coming in, racking up views, and getting mega sponsorship endorsements. But on the inside, the F2 was falling apart. Then all it took was one event for the whole world to see. You see, back then, the Wembley Cup was a huge deal. It used to feature ex-footballers and famous YouTubers players, like Stevie G who play in on it, and of course the F2 had featured in it as well. But in the 2018 edition of the competition, it was gonna be the last ride, so here's where it went down, guys. In March 2018, the F2 and another YouTube duo called EXO were supposed to make a video together, but the thing is the EXO wasn't down with Jeremy's attitude, plus they were on different vibe zones, man. They even played a game of Mr. and Mrs., and the F2 doesn't roll with that. It became pretty clear that the video wasn't going to work, so they tried again. You know that saying, if you fail once you gotta try again. Well, that wasn't the case here, because they went a second time, and it got even worse. With just a day to go to the competition, Stephen Trees got angry about a couple of things, so we went to the studio and grabbed a mic to get a couple things off his mind, and legit released a diss track. Nah, that's not me, act like a wet wipe in your Audi. Steven was moving crazy in that diss track. The dude was saying some heavy stuff. He shaded their age, shaded their Audi, and even called them Love Island FC. Not sick, man. But that wasn't the half of it, because when it got down to the proper match, another kin of OMG worms was let loose. The F2 won the competition, but they got a controversial defeat to the EXO in the early stages. Only it wasn't a difficult defeat, because the F2 had a couple of wild claims, and even accused the ref of cheating. Yeah, they claimed the ref blew the whistle 2 minutes earlier, a pretty heavy accusation. Now Jeremy was already pissed about the match, but when he saw Stephen Trees round the back, he just couldn't get over being called Love Island, and that's when he decided he'd had enough, so he pulled up to Stephen face to face. And let's just say it wasn't a very nice conversation. Thing is, no one even knew about this video until 2 years after, when the footage got released. Jeremy and Billy must have hated being called 4-0. Jeremy already had bad press because he and Billy were doing pretty good. People kind of forgot, you know. But when everyone saw this and heard things Jeremy said, well, like Jeremy doing the around the world trick, it all came back. People let it rip on him, and even accused him of being a bad dude in the F2. The guy in charge of the Wembley Cup and CEO Spencer FC did a podcast later on, and the things he said put the final nail in the
Is it?
Freestylers coughing in his
Oi!
podcast. He said the ref cheated.
Now imagine
That's
if we
messed
were
up,
allowed
bro. The
to take
ref
a corner
cheated at the expense
on the
of
volley.
the F2
Just
blowing
saying.
the final whistle 2 minutes earlier. Why he just didn't like the F2? What the
Just
hell?
'cause the
Imagine
ball's on the
coming out with
byline,
this info
it doesn't
2
mean you
years
can't still
after
score.
the game.
I like
That's
to call
just
this
sad, dude.
Swice
But you
Techers.
see, guys,
Check this out.
that wasn't all. Because in his podcast, he revealed some crazy stuff about the F2. Turns out they're not as close as we all thought. I ain't even sure if they're close at all. See,
Jess,
they've
have you
been
got a time, mate?
trying to have a great business relationship, but outside that it was dead,
About
they weren't
5 to 2,
even
mate.
brothers.
That's
After
lunch.
this messy episode,
We all
everything
love the
ended.
fact that
See
keepers,
people
well, they
who
love
had
getting
worked
lobbed,
with the
don't they?
F2
Hey, Jess.
before started turning up with their own stories of what it was like, and the issue always was they had a big ego, and they were really
He loved
difficult to work with.
loved
Apparently, it was so bad it even made a compilation of how horrible it was to work with Jeremy. Ouch, they must hate that guy. I gotta point out that they didn't officially break up, though. They still got their YouTube channel and all, but it's so bad they don't even post videos together anymore. They got a whole load of projects they reportedly canceled, like their rascal clothing brand, the F2 Academy. They wanted to launch.
Check
they
these
called
half-volley
everything off.
checkers.
Still,
Check
they're
up.
doing okay, though, despite all the hate. He got Jeremy's pretty big on TikTok. He's got serious followers too, and he posts a lot of child-related content. Billy, he still posts freestyle
That awkward
videos.
moment when you score from a corner with a
Even got
half-volley
a family
trivella.
YouTube
Oh,
channel called The Wing Roast.
It's just
It
so
could have been
awkward.
more than this, though. They could have taken over the world, but Jeremy's mistake caused both
cringing.
him
Oh, it's
and
awkward.
Billy the chance
Cringing
to
Malafo.
become the YouTube goats of football freestyle. Damn, it hurts.
So you
But
should
when
come
you've
up
got
with
money like they do,
Cringing
maybe it
Malafo.
ain't so bad after all.
One of the